from the heart of Dubai, where tomorrow is being built today, to the world. Welcome to the CTO Show with Mehmet. Here, we redefine technology and reimagine possibilities. With Mehmet, delve into the riveting realms of AI, cybersecurity, and digital technology. Experience the thrilling highs and lows of startups. Immerse yourself in the spirit of entrepreneurship and witness the future of business innovation being written in real time. Now, without further ado, let's tune in and explore the future.
Hello and welcome back to a new episode of the CTO Show with Mehmet. Today, I'm very pleased joining me, Marco Benítez. He's the founder of Rook. Marco, I was telling you I don't like to steal the spotlights from my guests. I keep it to them to introduce themselves. But I'm always curious about to know a little bit more about you, your background, your journey, and what brought you to start Rook. So the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Super excited, Mehmet, to be here. And thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Well, I am Marco Benítez. My background, I'm from Mexico, but now living here the last years here in the US in South Florida. Um, I'm biomedical engineer, have also a second degree in biomedics. My whole career, I was working in data. First of all, I'm a taekwondo guy, so I love taekwondo. I love martial arts. My whole life, I was doing that since when I was like 5 years old. I'm a black belt, third dan. Now I'm trying with jujitsu. Probably I'm a little bit old for martial arts, but I feel so good,
Oh no.
doing that. I'm on my 40s, so I really like this lifestyle of doing sports, martial arts, and all these type of things. So for me it's really great, that front. And also for me, sports, it's almost everything in terms of that helped me to analyze my life in terms of, when you are building something from the scratch, it's like be disciplined, very persistent, and have consistency will help you to reach out different type of things. Every goal, it's all around with these 3 points. And yeah, that's me. And of course, I'm the CEO and founder of what we are doing today at Rook.
Great. Marco, please, you're not old because if you are old, I will be old because I'm in my 40s also as well. So we are young, we're still young, right?
We are. Yes, we are. Yes, we
G-
are.
Very interesting, Marco. And this is maybe, the reason I ask every guest about their backgrounds. This is explained to me a little bit why maybe you decide to start Rook. I'm always curious about the story behind, the aha moment or like you spotted something, which maybe someone else didn't, and you decided to start Rook. Now, what is the story behind Rook?
Yeah, well, this is not my first company. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, this is our third company, fourth company. The first one, we get an exit. We were very young. In fact, my co-founders, I know them from the last almost 20 years from now.
Wow.
It's like we have been together a long time. In fact, I know them better than my wife, honestly. we we in the college when we were together, it's like we used to live together. We were, in parties. We know each other, you know, everything. So we are very good friends, and now our wives are very good friends. Our kids are super good friends. So we are now a family, honestly. So it's very funny. But yeah, that was our first company. We built a company on top of data. We create analytics for hospitals. But then we sold that company in 2006, and we were very young. We were doing different type of things, and of course, on those days, a startup was not even a word. At least in Latin America, in Mexico, where I came from. Of course, here in the US was a very different situation. We on those days with the .com situation, Silicon Valley and investments, and we were in a different position over there. Um, However, we had an exit, and that gave us the opportunity to say, okay, this is interesting. However, on those days we were young, so we continued studying, and we were in different things. I was involved at the very beginning with the big pharma. In the big pharma, I was doing clinical trials between phase 1 to phase 4. Amazing industry from my perspective, because you learn a lot how, the process of all these drugs, how is the research and development since the idea, and then becomes something more interesting when you are starting to try with, animals, and then something with humans, which is amazing, that process, since when you are doing the protocol and, integrating all these vendors that are going to be involved in every single, you know um, in every single project or trial. So amazing path over there. And at the same time, we were building companies around the medical devices.
Mm-hmm.
So two things at the same time. When you are young, you have a lot of energy, you have a lot of stamina, you have a lot of time. Now when you get, when you have a family and everything, it's like there's not too much time, but still it's like when you are young, you have this opportunity to do a lot of things at the same time, and very successfully sometimes. But the aha moment were when my co-founder and myself, we were like, okay, we have to do something in the fitness industry. We have a huge opportunity because we started over there, and we create a wearable on those days with another two friends more. We create a wearable that happened before pandemics. The name of that company was Rook Motion. Everything was on Mexico, built in Mexico. So we create this wearable. Was really interesting because was a heart rate monitor chest, and the other one for the arm. And in real time, we have the ability to collect, effort zone, calorie burn, heart rate, different type of biomarkers. And I can tell you that the aha moment, that's when we changed the business model, was when we started to integrate different type of wearables on our own platform.
Mm-hmm.
That happened during pandemics, because during pandemics, you know the life as we saw right now changed everything. So everyone was in their own home trying to work out, isolated, without, alone. Some people were alone, other with their family, so too many things at the same time. So we create a space where you can train yourself, do workouts, but with your wearable. And we
Mm-hmm.
started to integrate not only our own wearable but also the Apple Watch one, and we saw a ramp up. First of all, it was very difficult to integrate the Apple Watch. Honestly, it was super difficult. But then when we integrate that part, we start to see a ramp up of how many end users were connected on our platform, and we start to analyze all this data. And then we say like, hey, what happened if we started to integrate Polar and then Garmin? It took time to integrate and also make sense of all these data because it's very complicated. Each wearable give you the information in a very different way. And we when we started to normalize everything and standardize the data, we're like, okay, this is interesting. And then we start to see more ramp ups and see
Mm-hmm.
more end users connected on our platform. And that was the aha moment when we changed the business model.
It's very, very interesting. Now you told me you come from data background also as well. Now, and of course you're a guy who likes sports and health and all the thing. So there's a passion driven, I would say, motive for you also. But and I'm saying, but again, it's not for a challenging question or something, but we know when we touch anything which is related to people's kind of fitness data, let's call it this way, so that would require some additional measurements for data privacy and all this. I'm interested to know like some of the hurdles and obstacles maybe that down the road you discovered, because you mentioned Apple, and I know for a fact from other folks I talk to, whether it's in the wearable space or like even the enterprise space, integrating anything with Apple, to your point, like it's a miracle. Again, but we understand that Apple are more sensitive to this. So other than that, like what other like challenges you faced, Marco, when building the product itself?
When we were building the product, That's a really interesting question because one of the first things since the beginning, we are biomedical engineers. So all the team, mainly almost all the team are developers.
Mm-hmm.
My co-founders are developers too. They are biomedical engineers. So, and my background from clinical trials, big pharma, data, for us, the base ground was always, compliance, cybersecurity, and HIPAA compliant. All these type of certifications for us was like something that it's on our bones.
Mm-hmm.
So we understand that behavior. We understand that since the beginning you have to be compliant with everything. I know that for founders, sometimes it's like you have to find if you have a market fit and everything. On top of that, you can, of course, the problem and trying to solve that problem. We solve that one specific problem, but since the beginning, we built on HIPAA, we built on GDPR, we built on compliance with the cybersecurity because we know that we were building on top of data from our clients, and that's really really important. And we know that in on those days and in these days right now, it's one of the biggest struggles with every platform. So yeah, to your point, it's very important. It's super important. Sometimes even better, if you want to work with insurance or big pharma or hospitals, everyone will ask you to have a specific certification and more with HIPAA and GDPR, depending on the country that you are working on.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting also for me, and I will ask you if you have competition later, but I'm
Mhm.
trying to think about the massive use cases that can be open. So usually you're taking the data, you are normalizing it as you explained, like you're trying to make sense out of this data. Who benefit from this? And of course, you did an API, that uh, any anyone who wants to connect, probably, of course, there's a business model which I will ask you later on. But I'm thinking now use cases. So is it like a hospital? Is it an insurance company? Like, who are the clients usually today that would be interested in having these data, Marco?
Yeah, yeah. Let me do one step back so
Sure.
we can be in the same. It's very simple what we are building or what we have. So basically, we have an API. On our API, we have a lot of wearables, medical devices, lab testing integrated on our API. So it's very simple for our clients if they want to extract the data from these end users, patients, and want to know the information 24/7. Basically, they have to, if they are not using our API, they have to integrate with the Apple Watch, with the Polar, with the Garmin, all the wearables outside, then lab testing, CGMs, whatever they are looking for. So they need to integrate everything. Sorry. They need to integrate with everything, maintain those integrations, and then it's like a lot of work. So it take like probably 18 months, 24 months to integrate everything. Instead of doing all these integrations, they only have to integrate my API, which we already have 300, 400,000 sorry, 400 wearables, medical devices, lab testing, different type of things. And immediately in 1 or 3 months, they will have everything in their own platform. So now they have the ability to extract all this data. So at the very beginning, right now, we are like a pipe. We extract the data from the patient, from the wearable patient or the lab testing patient. Then we standardize, normalize, harmonize all the data, and we deliver clean and structured data. Of
Hmm.
course, if the client wants all these data, raw data, we can give it all the raw data. It depends 100% of the business model. Now, talking about who are the clients who are looking for this type um, of platforms, it's basically wellness apps, longevity apps, fitness apps. That was our low hanging fruit because that's where we came from. However, now we are more towards the hospitals. We are working a lot with remote patient monitoring. We are working more with, big pharma also, in big pharma for clinical trials, for PSPs, for access, for pharmacovigilance, so for different areas inside the big pharma. So it's becoming something really interesting, because just started with fitness industry, which is great. I love fitness, I love that industry. We are moving towards that health industry, which we can have a lot of impact in the people's lives, and be more in the preventive side rather than in the reactive, because reactive, it's always a bad thing, right? Because when you react to something, is because you have the problem over there. But there's sometimes that you can prevent a lot of things, and that's where it's our sweet spot, where we can prevent things. And we trying to enable those brands to have that information.
I can imagine, the benefits that, especially both profiles you gave, like any longevity or like health applications, they will benefit out of it because and I think wearables, you mentioned patient, but I think they became slowly part of the life, and you come also from that background, Marco, because very rarely now I don't see anyone who's wearing any smartwatch. It doesn't have to be necessary a an Apple Watch. It can be anything. The
Mhm.
rings, what I'm curious about when it comes to integrating with that huge number of different wearables, right? So when when is the tipping point where you and the team you decide, okay, looks like we need to integrate, for example, with this device, because looks like you know everyone asking about it, or maybe there's an adoption for it. So what would be like the decision criteria to integrate with a new wearable device?
Yeah, it's very simple. It's like any other company in terms of the roadmap. It depends 100% on the client's needs. So again, it depends on the industry that you are going to focus on. So,
Hmm.
for example, hospitals, they want to integrate with blood pressures. They need CGMs, obviously, because they are looking for specific diseases like hypertension, or they are looking with diabetes problems, or obesity. So they need a specific devices. So we integrate with all of them if we want to go through that direction. So it's not something that we realize from one day to another. This is something that we have to discuss all the time with our clients and the potential clients. It's like, okay, what type of wearables do you need? What type of devices you are looking for? And then we go everything through a wish list that we have internally, and then we have a whole process about how to take these type of decisions. So it's a process. We have all this product team that is helping me with all this. We extract all this information, and then we have a roadmap, and then the drill. You're a CTO.
Yeah, I'm not a CTO, but yeah, I
Okay,
come from technical background. But thank
there you
thank
go.
you for thank you for mentioning this. Now, as you can see, although like I come from a technical background, I'm always
Mhm.
interested to understand the use cases. This is why I ask you, for example, who use it, how they use it. Now, one I'm not sure if this is for you, was as we call it, a tailwind, like a supporting factor, because you mentioned longevity and you mentioned, like health apps. I had not very long ago, like I think a couple of weeks back, John Sabis, who runs a company in the longevity space, and the new kind of metrics that we are looking for to understand someone, like how we can increase their longevity, and the use case that John at that time we discussed, he's trying to take that and apply it into the financial services like retirement and all this. Now, how much this trend of people who want to track their health, people also who want to make sure that they're getting good sleep, helped also the adoption, of course, of the wearables in general. And indeed it helped you also to have this tailwind of more vendors who want to get the data and get use out of it?
It's a really good question. I can tell you it's an evolution, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I can tell you that 20 years ago, I remember, no, even more, like 15 years, no, 25 years ago, when I was doing taekwondo in down in Mexico, I was using the heart rate monitor in the chest, and the only things that you were tracking was heart rate. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, you can analyze your effort zones that you have from 0 to 4, and depending on your objectives, you have to be more in the zone 4, in the zone 3, in the zone 1, and all these type of things. But every single time that the hardware evolves, you're starting to track more things, specific things, like, for example, HRV.
Mm-hmm.
HRV is a huge, biomarker, because that allow you to understand your recovery. And as a sports and as a fitness in the fitness industry, recovery is almost everything. It's like, again, it's like sleep. Sleep in the 80s, in the 90s, and early 2000s, sleep was for weak, was for people who is very weak, Sleep is for those guys that doesn't want to achieve nothing in his life. And doctors were the first ones who, sleep is nothing. You don't have to sleep because you have to be awake in the hospital all the time and create all this stress. And it now the mentality is completely different. Now in 2025, everyone care about the sleep. It's super important. It's one of the best parts when you recover from everything intracellular. All these type of things is happening during when you are sleeping. So to your point, it's like all these things matters, and that's how new wearables are focused more in specific biomarkers like stress levels, like sleep data, like HRV, like glucose levels, like temperature, like you know every single wearable is starting to be very specific and the best in one specific biomarker.
Mm-hmm.
So the industry now are starting to pull this data so they can take advantage of that information. From the remote patient monitoring perspective, they are analyzing, I don't know, maybe seniors. They want to know how many times they fall, or they want to identify if they have a high or a very big hypertension, or a spike of glucose level, or I don't know. So the demand from the different industries, even it's bigger and bigger, and also they are demanding to have more wearables, more accurate information, and receive more accurate information. So industry will it's telling you that they need more information so they can track more things and be also more accurate. That's why they are starting to receive FDA clearances, like the Apple Watch, for example. They have, I don't remember, they have like 3 or 4 FDA clearance with a specific biomarker. Whoop is looking for the same thing. Aura is looking for the same thing. Garmin is looking for the same thing. New wearables are looking for the same thing because they want to be in the medical space. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the future eventually. So, yeah,
Is
not
this
sure
what
if I answer your question.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is this what people are calling now, Marco, medicine 3.0? Because, 2.0 was, like little bit utilizing the technology. Is this what people are calling 3.0, or is it something else?
Yeah, it's something, yeah, definitely, yes. It's all around prevention. It's prevention. Medicine 3.0, it's the prevention side. It's something that Peter Thiel, it's revolite make a revolution around that. They have a really great book about it, and it's prevention, it's everything. And you can do a lot of things with all these wearables. You can extract a lot of information. You can identify patterns. When you are wearing a wearable, it's really interesting, all this information, because it's like, what happened if you are drinking alcohol in the night? What happened if you have a late dinner? What happened if you are very stressed? What happened with your heart rate? What happened with your sleep stages? What happened with your glucose levels? What happened with your temperature? And when you start to make all these correlations, you start to change habits. Sometimes start to do more workouts. Sometimes you start to, you know, do early dinners to avoid drink alcohol. All these type of things, small things will change your future. That's
Mhm.
all around the medicine 3.0.
I can't skip nowadays asking about AI and the role of AI in the whole formula, Marco. And for you, you are sitting on a gold mine of data also as well, which is like the fuel of an AI. So, uh, what are some really useful use cases? When I'm asking really useful use cases is because what I'm trying also recently to try to educate people about, like, guys, like, okay, AI is I'm not saying it's a hype, of course it's a real thing, but let's think about really how we can utilize it. So what you're seeing in the AI space related to the wearables and what you're also doing.
Yeah. AI is the new revolution, right? It's
Hmm.
like
Indeed.
it's the industry revolution. We came from different revolutions all the time. The web was the other revolution. I mean, AI is the new revolution. I don't think it's only a hype. It's changing lives. Now everyone is using AI every single day. Now we have access to new information. We are looking with this ChatGPT, of course, but that's something new, and it's changing a lot of things. Jobs will change also. That being said, AI it's important only if they have clean data.
Right.
If they have the data they have structured all these information so they can have not only have good information, because if you are injecting garbage, you will receive garbage. That's it. It's very
Absolutely.
simple. So yes, today I think that everyone is telling you that data is the new oil, right? So, and it's 100% true. We have so many data points all over the places, but you need someone who can help you to integrate everything in one place and also have everything very clean, that can help you to structure all this information. And the wearables are a really good example, because you have so many wearables outside, you have so many medical devices outside, you have so many lab testing outside, and trying to reconciliate everything in one place and try to normalize everything and standardize everything and give it this structured way to create AI tools. That's really the important thing. But I think that AI will help you to understand even better your health, and all these correlations that I mentioned before about yourself trying to identify if you have a late dinner or your, I don't know, your alcohol habits, whatever. The AI will let you know, definitely. So AI is quite important.
What just out of curiosity, the wearables, and you talk about the biomarkers and all this, of course, like anything which it's tangible from all the metrics you just gave as example. Of course, heart rate is the oldest one, blood pressure, the all the other things. Now when I think the thing I didn't see much done is about not the eating habits more than, I'm not sure if it exists, maybe it does, and excuse my ignorance here. um let's say if I eat a bar of chocolate, right? So I'm not sure if instantly, of course, I know you need to do a blood test for this, but I mean, how this is affecting the whole thing in my body, right? Of course, from a medical point of view, are we going to see like also things like this that, because and I know it from myself, to be honest. I have a coach currently, and the only thing that we discuss all the time, like, hey, I can watch your motion, I can see how much stronger you're getting in the gym and all this. The only thing I can't control is like, okay, you track your meals, but we don't know what the food is doing to your body actually. Is it like really building your muscles? Is it like, so are we going to have like these kinds of devices that will be able also to give us, because food is, and I know you're in the States, Marco, and I have a lot of friends, and always they tell me about the same thing. Like, we cannot find healthy food. Like, and we know we eat, we don't know what's happening to our bodies after this. Where we are in this space.
I mean, I think that healthy food it's all over the places. The only problem it's better for you going to the McDonald's or going to the Chick-fil-A and all these type of things that it's like a garbage food. Of course, it's really good. I mean, one time per month, it's perfectly fine. You will not have any kind of troubles. But the problem is when you are doing that every single day, that's the problem. Um, to your point, yes, we have some platforms outside that are helping you to understand a little bit more. We know the basics. Macronutrients are very important. You know, proteins, carbohydrates, all these type of things. We know about it, and there's a lot of information about that, and I think that's something that everyone should know. This is something that everyone that it's in the high school and in the college should know about this because it's your future.
Hmm.
um I'm encourage every single one that I know that learn about the nutrition because it's very important. It's your body. At the end of the day, when you get old, you are going to be the result of all the habits that you have when you were young. So if you drink a lot of alcohol, if you smoke, if you have very bad habits in the nutrition side, if you are not doing workouts, if you are very stressed all the time, if you don't sleep, when you get old, you will you will see the results of all of that. So yes, I think the industry is trying to help to understand in a very easy way your behaviors. One of them is, of course, with the wearables. The other part is the nutrition part. There's some wearables outside trying to help you to understand that. For
Hmm.
example, we have the CGMs. The CGMs, which is you can track your blood glucose in your blood, and it's really interesting. Maybe you don't need to use all the time one, but at least I encourage to use at least one time to understand what happened every single time that you are eating something like a chocolate bar. What happened with your glucose levels? And you will see a really interesting peak. And you have to see how stress get your body every single time that you eat a lot of sugar. I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's okay. It's okay that you are eating a bar of chocolate. Nothing is going to happen if you are doing once per week or I don't know. It depends 100% on your habits, but it does nothing bad happened your um with your meals and everything if you can start to incorporate different type of things and making it make it better. But yeah, there's a lot of wearables outside. There's a lot of apps outside that can help you to improve and to know because knowledge is everything. If you start to learn about those and uh, food, meals, and everything that can help you to improve your health, definitely it's something that you can improve.
Yeah, because I'm always kind of um, how would I describe this? Perfectionist, let's say. So
Yeah.
I'm looking for the thing that is kind of real time. And to your point, when we talked about the Medicine 3.0 preventive, right? So,
Mhm.
for example, if I had two spoons and, like some reaction started to show or whatever, it should tell me, hey, stop, like you should, or even, before I take the meal, it can analyze it somehow and say, okay, it will not be able to know the ingredients. I know this, we didn't reach, but at least say, like, hey, like, it's advisable based on your biomarkers and based the history that I know about you. Maybe it's an health app that does this. I'm aware of this, but hey, like, you should really like not have like more than three spoons of this. You know, but yeah, of course, maybe I'm a little bit thinking futuristically, but completely, I think this is where, the data, and this is why I'm very interested to any attempt, for what you're doing, Marco, like any startup, any company that is working in this space attracts me, because also there's a big impact of having a healthy life, and knowing things time ahead, so you don't get in trouble, as you mentioned, in the future. So 100% on this. Now let me shift gears a little bit and ask you about the business model, like how your business models look like.
Yeah. By the way, something that I didn't, I make a mistake. I said Peter Thiel. In fact, it's Peter Attia. Peter
Okay,
Attia is the one for Medicine 3.0. I made a mistake over there.
that's okay,
Peter,
fine. I do these
yeah,
mistakes all the time, fine.
yeah. The last name was the problem. Yeah. Um, but yeah, to your point, I think that it's really important to keep, you know, uh, the food as something as you can improve every single time. But yeah, going to the business model, on Rook, it's very simple. It's like a B2B SaaS API platform. It's very simple. It's like we charge depending on how many end users you have connected on our API. It's very simple. It's a no-brainer because instead of, you know, have I don't know how many developers, probably 5, 7 developers working only in all these integrations in the next 18 months and working only towards that. In 1 or 3 months with one single API integration, you will have access to everything. So save you money, save you efforts, save you, all these headache to offer the integration. So it's very simple, the business model that we have today. And that's why
Cool.
it's like a no-brainer. Yeah.
Yeah, health tech also, Marco, is hot among investors also as well. Have you, like, did you bootstrap the business, or because it's your second startup? Like, anything you can share on that part?
Yeah, no, I mean, at the very beginning, we invest our own money when we started. And then, of course, we were looking for, when we started the fundraise was here in the US, was really interesting because for me, it was the first time making this fundraising in the US. In Mexico, I never made that. But when you are talking about a company of research and development, you need a lot of money, you need a lot of resources. I have a big team. I can tell you that at least 80% of the team are developers and data scientists, and the data scientists are the best, of course. And you need money, you need resources, you need investment to be the best of the best in the industry. So yeah, I mean, for me, it was the first time raising money here in the US, and was it's really interesting.
It's an experience by itself. Funny enough, I was telling Marco before we start recording. So before we spoke on, I mean, we discussed that he would be guest with me on the podcast. I'm part of like some groups where people share deal flows, and one of them is my favorite people from the Sile group, Adeo and his team. So I've seen Marco's name. So when his team, I mean Marco's team, reached out to me, I said, "Hey, hold on one second. That name is familiar. This company name is familiar." So I figured out, like, yeah, like and everyone was saying like it's a hot startup in the med slash health tech, because also what you do is considered med tech, it's considered health tech also as well at the same time. Um, Raising money in the US for the first time, you know, it's not something easy. If you want to, from your learning so far, if you want to give advice maybe to fellow entrepreneurs and founders, like what's the thing really you tell them to be ready for when they start this journey?
First of all, I always say that you are talking with people, right? So it's like you have to be a good person. You are talking with other person. You don't see the other person in front of you with money in the face. It's it's all around create relationship with the other person, and the only purpose to have the first meeting is to have a second meeting. And the purpose of the second meeting is to have the third meeting and know each other very well. That for me, it's my biggest advice. And also, as the sports, same thing. You have to be very disciplined, perseverant, and receive really consistency. It's all about doing the same thing every single day. Change, make some tweaks on your strategy, but it's reach as many people as possible. Go to the network events. Try to create a relationship with your investors. I always say that my investors are the best investors I ever had. They are the best, really. I have a very good relationship with every single one. I have a monthly newsletter. I think everyone should have one, but also I have a lot of meetings with them. I try to engage with them. They understand my industry. They understand my company. They understand why we are looking for this type of money. So again, it's all about be very consistency in all the things that you are doing and very, very open with them, very transparent.
Marco, you're repeating, of course, like same minded people always agree, as they say, and they meet for a reason. Like this is exactly when I was asked uh, by Jason Leduc, who hosted me. I was the guest that time, about my opinion on this, and exactly I said this. I said the problem happens is when founders think it's like a just it's a dating night, so you go to your date night and then okay you meet and then you expect like the the deal is done that night. It doesn't work this way, because I said like what I have seen and I learned from reading about people, successful investors, and reading about like even successful founders, is that you need to really have this perseverance. You need to have this you need to be patient, right? So it doesn't maybe you are lucky and maybe there is this synergy and this as we call it in this part of the world, this chemistry, and you really get together very good. But even after that, especially if you're talking to a VC, the VCs, they have uh, investment committees. So even if the partner you're talking to is 100% convinced, or she's 100% convinced, still there's work to be done. And what you mentioned, Marco, I think it's underrated with founders about sending updates after things, after or before. What I mean, if you meet an investor and you really you like them, you should keep them posted what's happening. Like if
Yeah.
even if they tell you no, until they tell you, hey, like we're not interested, remove us from your list. Okay, that's fine. But I mean, you should keep everyone updated, because guess what? Good investors also, the best ones, who learn from the opportunities they miss, not from the opportunities they
Yeah.
get the outliers from. So thank you for mentioning this, Marco.
Exactly. Of course.
Marco, what are the plans for you? Like, where do you want to see Rook in a couple of years?
Definitely, as a data science company, I love data again, and I think we can do a lot of things with all the data that we are collecting. We can help industries to understand more the risk about their own patients. So I do believe that we are going to become more strong on that front. That's why we are investing a lot of efforts on security, and at the same time with algorithms that start to make more correlations about the data that we are receiving versus the with all the information that we are having. So it's like that's where I feel very excited. And of course, I am a geek in terms of wearables, and I'm looking forward to see more wearables outside, and trying to solve a specific biomarker and trying to be more accurate and receive more FDA clearance and all this type of things. So it's a combination between all these type of things and how the industry is starting to use my technology. So I mean, I'm very excited every single time I talk about that
Yeah,
because it's my
that's
passion.
fantastic. Do you have any customers from the part of the world where I am located currently in the Middle East?
Yes, we do have, and a lot. Honestly, it's very
Nice.
surprising. Yes, we have a lot of clients over there. We have, of course, we have clients in the US. It's really great. We have in Middle East, we have in Europe, we have in Asia, we have in, of course, Latin America. Um, I mean, we have clients all over the places, but we have in the Middle East too.
That's good to know. Because the reason I ask you, because I know for a fact that also some companies and even government entities, they want to leverage the
Mhm.
data and take the next level of reaching this advancements in technology, leveraging anything similar to what you offer. And it's nice to hear that you already have customers here. Final
Yeah.
question, Marco, where people can get in touch and learn more?
Very simple is in tryrook.io. We are like that all in all these places in the web, of course, on LinkedIn, in Rook. You can find me, Marco Benítez, in LinkedIn, in whatever any social media, you will find me with the same thing. So with the same name. And yeah, very happy to
Great.
connect with everyone.
Absolutely. So for the folks listening or watching this, you will find links and the website and how to get in touch with Marco on the social media in the show notes. If you're listening, if you're watching, of course, in the description of the video. Marco, I really enjoyed the discussion with you today. It's a hot topic. It's an important topic. It's an impact topic because at the end, monitoring our health and biomarkers and although like you are the fuel of all this because you are as you I ask you what you want to be. You said a data company, right? And you said before like data is the new oil. I think it's more than oil. Like even oil become not worthless, but I mean it's much more than oil, especially when it comes to people lives and health.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing your vision. Thank you for sharing also the story behind Rook. And this is for the audience. If you just discovered our podcast by luck, thank you for passing by. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did so, give me a small favor: subscribe and share it with your friends and colleagues. And if you are one of the people who keeps coming and again, thank you very much for your support, for your encouragement, and again a big thank you for two things. First, thank you for taking the podcast since the beginning of the year. I know maybe I made you feel bored, but I have to thank everybody who keep listening, and we are like trending always since the beginning of 2025 we keep changing countries. We visit countries each week in the top 200 charts of the Apple podcast. This cannot happen without your support. And hi to my recent top 200 country, which is Bermuda. Which is very close also to maybe to where you are, Marco, now. And also another thank you for the people who supported me on the launch of the book From Nowhere to Next, which happened 2 or 3 weeks ago. As this is, it became a bestseller on Amazon. This cannot happen without your support also as well. So thank you very much. And as I say always, stay tuned for a new episode very soon. Thank you. Bye bye.
Hit that subscribe button, share the show with your tech-savvy friends and fellow entrepreneurs, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast app. Your support means the world to us.